You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I am Kirk Mona, and I am joined today by Rachel Ginza and Victoria Thompson. We are all professional naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome
Hey.
to the show this week. I'm really excited because we are joined by a special guest. He is a PhD candidate at the University of Minnesota. Lang, do you want to introduce yourself, say hi? What's your PhD candidacy about?
Sure. Hello. As mentioned, my name's Lang DeLancy, and my research focuses on soil carbon storage and nitrogen cycling, and particularly how fungi influences how much carbon is stored from the atmosphere into the soil, and then how that leaves through decomposition.
Cool.
That's so cool.
Well, are you, Lang, are you a fan of nature that is a bit strange?
Oh, very much so.
I would hope
Well, then you
so.
fit right in. You're in the right spot.
Oh, fabulous. I mean, I would hope so, partially because you study soil. That's probably the nerdiest thing you could possibly study.
I bet a lot of the public doesn't realize how truly strange the soil is in every possible way.
Yeah,
So that's
it's
awesome.
basically an aquatic ecosystem for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But in solid form. Right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
Mm.
also entirely underpins food, which is nice of it.
I would say this particular year, I don't know if I can support the hypothesis or the idea that soil is an aquatic-based ecosystem, since we haven't gotten any. There is no water in the soil at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
but
it's pretty
most
dry.
years, yes.
Yeah. The films are strained.
Ugh.
All right, well let's
Yeah.
get things going.
All right, cool. Well, I'm starting us off this week. Again, Lang, thanks for joining us this week. So
Yeah.
I decided for this week, since I've kind of been going on a kick of horrifying Halloweenish type tales recently.
You're just gonna keep on going?
No, I decided to go for something a little nice, maybe a little more humorous route for this
nice.
week. So, of course,
All
we're going to
right.
start in 1981. Pretty contentious time in Europe. It's the middle to the end of the Cold War. Very humorous and lighthearted material here.
Right, you're starting off strong. Keep going.
And tensions are generally pretty high. The Swedish Navy, to bring us all the way over to Europe, has recently had a Soviet submarine run aground in Sweden near a naval base. So that didn't help
Not
with
great.
the tensions. That's not great. Apparently, there were extenuating circumstances for the Soviet submarine to have ended up there, but that's not the point of this story. The Swedish Navy is understandably suspicious. Remember, it's the height of the Cold War. Everyone is nervous about
Right.
everything. So they decided to keep an eye on this area, or rather, an ear. So they kept hearing weird underwater signals and sounds. But whenever they investigated,
Love it.
they never could find the source of this. And in 1982, they actually pursued these noises and sounds by submarine, by boat, and helicopter for a month.
Awesome. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so excited already.
This continued for 15 years. Well past
Okay.
the Cold War. So Sweden was understandably confused because they're like, well, the Soviets clearly aren't making these noises. They're not coming at us or trying to infiltrate our Navy area or whatever. So they brought in scientists, which they probably should have done 15 years earlier.
Okay.
So they brought in Professor Magnus Wahlberg in 1996. And they played for him in
This
this.
is Mark Wahlberg's brother, right?
Right, of course. And they
Yeah.
played this sound in this
No, it's not.
bunker that no civilian had ever heard before. And what
Okay.
would you expect this sound to be?
Oh, there's so many choices. Whale, fish,
Mm.
Yeah,
a whale fish.
this sort of puts me in mind of the bloop, that like whale
Yeah,
sound
exactly.
in the
Mhm.
Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of doing that as a topic, and is that where she's going with this? But it's either going to be, you said it moved around as a moving sound.
Yeah, it's a moving sound.
So that's why I was thinking probably not like some sort of geologic feature, which can certainly make
Mhm.
noises.
Mm-hmm.
So that leaves biological,
Hmm.
and there's so many things that make noise. It could be some sort of marine mammal, like a whale or
Mhm.
even a seal or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second guess would be something in like the fish family, but I'm guessing it may be something even stranger.
Yeah.
Okay, it is.
I'm so excited about this. Okay. So they played the sound to Professor Magnus Wahlberg, and it sounded like little like air bubbles or like frying bacon. And remember,
Okay,
this is
all right. I was wondering
underwater.
what you hadn't described what it sounded like yet. So I'm
I
like,
know.
all right.
So
Frying. I've heard some underwater sounds that sound a bit like frying bacon.
Mm-hmm. So he did some investigating with some colleagues in Denmark, and they actually were investigating because the sound always happened at night. So they had put microphones and cameras
okay.
underneath the water, and they noticed a school of herring release bubbles at night, and they tried to figure out if that was the noise. And it
Okay.
turns out that herring, the fish, when frightened or in warning of predators and at night in a school,
Oh no.
will release bubbles that have been stored in their air or swim bladder from their butt.
Yeah, fish farts.
Yeah. So the herring are farting.
Herring farts. All right. Wow. So it is a fish, okay,
Yeah.
but not maybe the way we were thinking.
It just gets better. Hold on.
So
Yeah.
my favorite part so far is that like the military has spent 15 years
Yeah.
trying to track down farting fish.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
And were
Mhm.
these
Outstanding.
like Soviet acting herring? Herring?
Maybe.
Trained herring, yeah.
They train. I mean, we've seen it happen with seals and porpoise. Maybe it was the herring,
It's true. Yeah.
Mm.
or it could
We
be a
talked about
red
that in the show a
herring.
while back.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Rachel. Rachel. That is the worst dad joke I've heard all day.
Thank you.
Wow.
Excellent.
Bravo.
Thank you. So they are not just farting, they're actually using it to communicate. During the day, herring actually use all kinds of noises and visual cues, but at night, when they're schooling, it's harder for them to be able to use visual cues in order to
Sure.
warn each other about predators and such, because they're highly reflective fish. They have a lot of oil and things like that too to help. So they rely on auditory cues. And for a fish, herring have amazing hearing. What I find really interesting, and actually the story even gets better, is at this point in time, there was another set of researchers finding the same conclusion, but out in Scotland.
Oh, okay.
So,
They're like, we're going to do the farting fish paper first. How dare you publish?
well, Dr. Ben Wilson and Dr. Bob Batty were researching this, and they actually won the Ig Nobel Award for this research.
Of course they did, yeah. That's outstanding. As well they should have.
As well, they absolutely should have. They were actually they were testing herring hearing to see if they could detect sounds made by whales and dolphins, which are main predators of herring.
Oh,
and
sure.
they were
sure,
hearing
yeah, that's valuable.
those same sounds. And they actually heard, when they were hearing these sounds, they actually sounded very similar to like a kind of noise.
Wow.
And
You just did that on the show. That's amazing.
yes, I
Okay.
did. And it was like really high pitched, and they described it quite literally as a high pitched raspberry.
Okay. sure.
And so what they decided, as they very well should have, and I'm so proud to be able to say this, they named it a fast repetitive tick, or FRT.
Of course, there it is.
Nice. Well done.
And if you,
well
if you
done.
take the FA from it's like capital F small a
yeah.
Mhm,
repetitive tick,
mhm.
that's what you want, really.
Yeah.
So they.
I like when scientists have a sense of humor. That's good.
It's so
It,
good.
to pull back the curtain a little bit, we no joke have meetings about those dumb acronyms sometimes.
So
Oh, sure.
good. I love that. Because honestly,
You're like this one, you guys. This is the one that's going to win us the Ig Nobel Prize. It's going to put
we
us over
want
the
it.
top.
We want this. So honestly, what's happening is it's just the herring communicating with each other. They swallow air to put into their swim bladder, and they release it near their butt through one of their ducts, and it causes bubbles and a little noise. But overall, it's hilarious. It's so funny. Literally, one of my sources, there was a Huffington Post article. There was some science. The Guardian actually has an article about this as well. But I will say that since this has been discovered, the Swedish Navy has not discovered any signals, nefarious or otherwise, in their waters, apparently. So that's always fun.
From the herring.
From the
The
herring.
herring are
yeah.
not attacking.
They're not attacking. no.
Perfect.
So that's what I have for us this week. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we return, it'll be Lang.
Science.
What is it? Who does it?
Why does it matter?
The Science Night podcast answers these questions by giving scientists a place to tell their story.
We also highlight science news and discoveries that will have you asking,
My God, what have I done?
What weird thing are we going to talk about this week that involves a frog?
They made an organic robot? Like, didn't they see The Matrix?
Join us every other Friday, wherever you get podcasts, and at SciNight.com.
Well, Lang, whenever you're ready, you can dive on in. Not into the fart water, but
Yeah.
just into your story.
Mine is both flatulent and dumb acronym free, which is really a travesty now that I know. So I mentioned earlier that I spend a lot of time thinking about decomposition. I also, besides sort of the academic interests in mycology and ecosystem ecology, I've been an avid mushroom forager my entire life.
Sure.
So I'd sort of like to marry these and talk about a particular decomposer that has, in my mind, gotten some short shrift based on how cool it is.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
To sort of give up the nugget right away, I'd like to talk to you about the mushroom that makes rocket fuel.
Oh, okay.
What?
Gyromitra esculenta, potentially Gyromitra. No one knows how Latin names are pronounced. Anyone that says they does are lying or says they do. Called and this is one of the false morels. This is sort of how most people will know it. It's got a bunch of other more descriptive common names. It's called the calf brain mushroom, conifer false morel, lorchel, lorkel, beefsteak fungus, although there's many beefsteak fungi.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a beef cake fungus?
I don't know if I want that, Kirk.
Not
That'd
yet.
be pretty funny.
But I mean, that's the thing. That's
Beef
what's
cake.
so great about common names. You just gotta pick one. And
That's right. I just
right.
invented it. So I'm gonna
Now there's a beef
done.
cake.
Check.
Done.
so sort of it's lumped in this false morel category. They're not
Okay.
actually all that related to morels, nor do they look much like morels. Their last
Okay.
point of connection is at the order level. They're weirdos in the looks department, also in the chemistry department, which we'll see. And they pop up at about the same time in similar-ish locations.
Okay.
Okay.
And sort of one of the reasons they're called false morels is that they are typically understood to be poisonous at least, and generally are listed as deadly. They're both acutely and chronically toxic, so they'll kill
good.
you now and later.
Awful. The
And
worst of both worlds.
Oh yeah, just exactly what you're looking for in your false choice edible mushroom.
Oof.
And as I mentioned, the poisonous compound in this, or what actually messes you up, is there's a compound in this mushroom called gyromitrin, hence the genus name Gyromitra, which is hydrolyzed in the acid of human stomachs to monomethylhydrazine, or MMH, which is a rocket propellant.
Oh my goodness. What? It does
Yeah,
this in
it's-
our stomach?
Yeah.
Oh God.
And it's a rather nasty rocket propellant as well.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Kirk, it seems like you might have some more insight into this, but this
I'm
is
like
Kirk-
a
Kirk likes
rocket and
rockets.
space nerd, and that is
yeah.
a fuel you do not want to be anywhere near or come into contact with.
Oh
Yeah.
good.
Some of them are pretty, like, a lot of the newer rockets are using things like methane or oxygen, hydrogen, stuff like that. Yeah, that stuff's nasty.
yeah.
Ooh.
And so, despite this incredible toxicity, this should, by all rights, be the weirdest thing about this mushroom. But despite this incredible toxicity, and knowing the risks, these mushrooms have been widely consumed for hundreds, if not thousands, of years.
You said it was
Come
poisonous, right?
Yes.
I believe the word deadly was in fact uttered.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are.
Okay.
Humans do stupid stuff though, so let's find out about
you know,
it.
Yeah.
that's fair.
So it's particularly popular in Scandinavia and northeastern
Okay.
Europe.
Of course.
Shaman
espec-
type stuff.
No. Just
No, oh, okay.
standard everyday eating, particularly in
Oh.
Finland, but it's also popular in Bulgaria, Spain. It's previously been popular in Germany and Switzerland, although now the sale of it's regulated there. But in
Okay.
But
Finland,
why?
for example, you can buy it at farmers markets.
What?
It is
Why? What? Why?
so. We'll get into that.
Okay.
So weird.
Okay.
I just for a particular, I'm incredibly parochial. They're also consumed in the United States, but essentially exclusively in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, because of the Finnish immigrants there.
Mhm.
They
Okay,
all
all
came
right.
over and were like, "Oh yeah, this is fine."
Yeah, we love eating these.
Yeah, anywhere
good.
from up to 1 million people regularly consume this mushroom, at least in the 1970s. The wild
Well, a lot of
thing-
people were eating mushrooms in the 1970s. So.
Yeah, potentially this is the least of their problems.
Yeah.
So the wild thing is we don't really know why there's this variation. People have reported eating even the same meal scooped from the same bowl, and one person gets wildly ill and another person shows essentially no effects. There's some
Okay.
indication that this is based on genetics and the speed with which you can acetylate some of these byproducts of hydrolysis.
Sure.
But, it's sort of the jury's still out on why there is this human variation. There are some preparation steps that people can take. Gyromitrin has a lower boiling temperature than water, so you can boil it. The thing about that is you need to parboil it like 4 or 5 times and throw out the water between each boil. But even that you need to do with vents or outside because the inhalation of it can also be poisonous.
Come on.
Of course. Why not?
This does not seem like a food that is worth consuming.
This sounds like a lot of work, Lang.
Yeah.
There's better mushrooms out there. And this is coming from someone who doesn't enjoy mushrooms.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is staggering. I feel at this point, as sort of avid mycophagist myself, I need to say to the nice people listening, don't eat Gyromitra. There are conflicting reports of other species in this genus with varying levels of this toxin, with varying levels of preparation needed. It's probably not worth it.
Doesn't sound
like
worth
a
it.
family. I could see how if you have like a family living on their farm and they've picked this particular, strain that grows on their farm for thousands of years, and it's like their family is used to it. They have a certain way of cooking it, and but maybe this sort quote unquote same mushroom from thousands of miles away, cooked in a different way, would be totally unsafe, and it's essentially not even the same. Maybe mushroom at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's there actually has been some research in the 70s and 80s, particularly among Finnish and French scientists, about the biogeography of these, the contents of this gyromitrin in these fungi. And it's hugely variable based on altitude, based on temperature.
Gotcha.
We really sort of have, despite how widespread these mushrooms are and their, the varying claims of consumption, they used to sell them canned in supermarkets. We really, there's surprising gaps in knowledge, despite the fact that people have been writing about Gyromitra mushrooms scientifically for like 150 years, and there's been folk knowledge about them passed down for probably thousands of years if etymology of Lorkel is anything to go by. Real weird.
That's crazy. And it produces rocket fuel and we still eat it, but it produces it in our stomachs. I'm good, thank you. I like mushrooms,
to be
and
fair,
I'm good.
We eat a lot of things that are processed into other things in our body. I mean, people drink alcohol, which is literal poison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also...
it's one of the best-selling products out there, right? So we put a lot of things in our bodies.
There are very low yet sometimes detectable levels of this toxin in store-bought button mushrooms as well.
Oh, good.
Huh.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stare at my mushrooms a little longer before I eat them now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You've been eating them and it's been fine up to this point.
Yeah, I remember hearing people talk about mushrooms saying that, like, in one sense, all mushrooms are probably toxic in a high enough dose.
Yeah.
And
because they contain so many fascinating compounds, but it's the dose makes the poison. And
yeah. As my father says to me frequently, there are old mushroom hunters and there are bold mushroom hunters. There are no old, bold mushroom hunters.
Right. There you go.
Thanks, Lang. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah, thank y'all.
Yeah. We're going to go to a break and then we'll have Kirk.
That'll be me. See you soon. So welcome back, everyone. I am starting off this week with a good old-fashioned warning.
You're starting
my
off
topic
this
week
week?
is going to feature... I'm starting off my topic this week. with a warning is what I'm saying.
Oh, good.
My topic is going to feature frank discussions of STIs and STDs and how people get them. And I know we have some families listening, so if this isn't a conversation for today,
Hey, Palmasanos, maybe not today.
This week. Thanks for listening this week, and thanks for enjoying the show. Goodbye. Okay, good. We're all still here now. So here's the deal. It should come as no surprise, given that diseases are like a thing that exists, that they exploit every mechanism possible to infect us, right? So we can get infections from the air we breathe, from the things we touch, and of course from the bodily fluids we swap. When it comes to stopping disease, we usually look for ways to stop transmission. And failing that, we focus on helping fight off infections that we then get. So antibiotics have really helped a lot on that front. But as hopefully we all know by now, antibiotics only work on bacteria, not on viruses. And as we discovered with COVID, when it comes to a virus, things aren't so simple. We have made a little progress on antiviral medications, but there's still nothing like antibiotics at all. So when it comes to sexually transmitted diseases, especially those those caused by bacteria, many of these were pretty severely damaging in the past, and now they're kind of considered really not a big deal as long as you can get antibiotics. But the viral ones, those are still really problematic. And the two biggest of concern are HIV and herpes. And those are both viruses that there is no cure for. So if you get them in your body, that's it. You got them in your body. Yeah. You can keep the infection from being active and flaring up with medication. So you can suppress those, but you can't get rid of them.
Yeah, they're with you forever.
Yep, they sure are. So because they're so problematic, our researchers are always looking for ways to not only cure somebody who has them, who's been infected, but more importantly, perhaps to also keep people from getting infected in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to sexually transmitted diseases, sure, you can abstain from sexual contact, but we are humans, and millions of years have shown that just isn't as effective as some people might wish. So it's not necessarily a good solution.
Yeah, abstinence-based education really, doing great.
Yeah, doesn't work.
The very fact that there continue to be humans indicates that some transmission events occur.
Exactly. So we do have things like condoms, but those are, and they're very effective, but not 100%, right? And so people have looked for other solutions, or maybe things you could augment with, so you can have more than one solution at once. Now, a group of researchers this fall announced their work on a possible, I don't think we can call it a solution, but rather another possible tool that could help prevent the spread of sexually transmitted infections. And their idea is an antiviral lubricant. Now, sure, we're talking about viruses here, and that is something to do with nature, but I'm sure some of you are kind of going, now, hold on, Kirk. Where's the strange part? All right?
I mean, that's pretty strange anyway.
Standard science lesson so far, and all I got to say is just hold tight.
Oh, God.
It's coming soon.
Oh, no.
The researchers at the KTH Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm published their results of their study in a scientific journal, Advanced Science, recently.
I'm glad a king is behind this.
Right?
What's that?
I'm glad a king is behind this, if it's the Royal Institute.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The Royal Institute, right.
It's royal back.
I'll show you. Yeah. That's a wonderful way to look at it. And they created a lube that was based on all natural materials that was, get this, 80% effective in trapping both HIV and herpes viruses within the lube itself. So they could then not go on to infect people.
That's so weird, but also what?
Oh, that's
amazing.
Very cool.
That's so cool.
And while the researchers realized that while, sort of you had organic chemists and whatnot, you could probably come up with some sort of complex designer substance you could get that would essentially trap viruses and immobilize them. But there was already a perfectly useful natural product that could already do the job, you guys.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Yeah, Kirk, what is
Uh-huh.
that perfectly natural product that we totally will be using instead of this lubricant that has royal backed science?
Well, funny you should ask. That product, simply put, is cow mucus.
Oh,
Oh no.
Kirk,
Yes,
why?
that's
Oh
right.
no.
You too
Kirk,
could someday
no.
help fight infections with a slippery cow mucus lubricant.
Oh
No.
wow.
All right, so
Kirk, no.
Hold on,
when
we
I saw
need-
this, I'm like, I am
Ah.
talking about this for sure.
Gross. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
Oh god.
ready to hear
All right,
more.
let me-
This is awful.
Let me break it down. Let me break it down for you. So this is not cow mucus. Like this is a lube made with something called mucin.
Mm.
There are many elements in, let's just say, snot. Okay, other than just pure mucin. And so we're not talking about using cow snot. It sounds pretty nasty,
Good.
and I think it'd
I'm
be a
very
hard
glad
sell.
about that.
So just looking at just
Very
this one
much a
ingredient,
hard
which
sell,
is
yes.
yeah. This one ingredient, mucin. I will say mucin is like the primary ingredient in mucus, though. Like it makes up the majority of the weight. There's other impurities and whatnot, but mucus basically is hydrated mucin. So while mucin could theoretically come from anywhere, the most common commercially available source is bovine mucin. It's a byproduct of the meat industry, so it's something you can just buy. So the actual compound they use is called bovine submaxillary mucins. There was lots of sensational headlines around this last month, but no one is advocating using cow snot as a personal lubricant, at least as far as I know.
Yeah,
I
speak
hope
for
not.
yourself.
Oh, God.
Well, there's one. Way to go, Lang.
I'm going to warn Shelby.
Yeah, so mucin, you guys, is a really complex molecule. It's found not only in bovine but also human, as well as far as I know, basically all mucus. And let's remember that the primary role of mucus in the body is to trap viruses and keep them from infecting you. That's why we have mucus. So it does this by being very complex. And when viruses come into contact with mucus, they actually bind to it, like essentially on the atomic level, and they get stuck in the mucus. And the researchers took this wasn't just like they didn't just use just mucin. So what they did is they took mucin and they created a hydrogel out of it using something called dynamic covalent cross-linking reactions, which sounds like a lot of like fancy science mumbo jumbo, but
Yeah.
anyone who's made slime from white glue and like borax,
Yeah.
you basically done the same thing. You've created a polymer by cross-linking all these long chains.
Got it.
So what they basically did is they made the mucin even more complex than it was naturally by cross-linking all these molecules to each other, so it could trap even more viruses. Kind of made it more sticky, but it also was they found very slippery still, which
Good.
is important.
Yeah,
So
that is.
to be clear, this wasn't just rehydrated mucin. They did actually test that as well, just basically adding water back to the mucin and basically creating kind of really pure mucus. It kind of worked, but it was definitely not as effective. This is an engineered product, and they came up with like the process of doing this. So one super fascinating side effect of using mucin is that it also has an immunosuppressive quality.
Okay.
And now you might think, well, wait, that's a bad thing, right? Because like if viruses are attacking you, you want a more active immune response.
I
But
mean,
interestingly,
generally.
this is not the case. Not the case with HIV. One of the insidious things about HIV is that it actually hijacks your body's immune system to actually help it replicate even more copies of itself, which is like
Dang.
horrifying. It's part of the reasons HIV is so bad. And this same study showed that mucin was actually able to prevent HIV from doing that.
Whoa.
So it's like a double. Not only does it trap it, it actually kind of knocks down its ability to hijack your immune system. So super cool. Obviously, a lot more research needs to be done on this. Our bodies naturally use mucin to stop, trap, and clear viruses from our bodies. So now scientists have figured out how to make a personal lubricant with the same properties. And we see once again that nature is really clever. And sometimes
Yeah.
you don't need to completely recreate the wheel. You just need to maybe figure out how to do what nature does and maybe make it even better. So this is just a study, so you can't rush down to your store next time you're in the mood. But yeah,
I know
there
you're
it
a
is.
dad, but oh my God.
Yeah, you're not the only one with bad jokes, Rachel. But perhaps someday we'll have maybe mucin in our lube, and it'll be just one more tool used to help slow the spread of disease. So if you want to read the very dry and technical paper yourself, it actually could use some lube. It is in the September 14th, 2022 issue of Advanced Science, and very coolly, it is available to read for free online, open access, which is we love. So
we love that.
Whew, that's what I got this week. I hope you enjoyed it.
I don't know if I did, Kirk, but
I'm going to be
it was
thinking about
fascinating.
that for the rest of the week. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's both like fascinating and like it's mucus, like gross.
Yeah.
But there it is.
Huh.
There it is.
Cool.
Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we appreciate you being here, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all of our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star review, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach out to us on social media by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can also check out our website, which is strangebynaturepodcast.com. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.